What's up, Packer fans? Back again. Tough morning, tough day. Good morning to everybody. Packers lost again. They've fallen to 3-3 on the season. What can I say about what happened yesterday at Lambeau? LaFleur and Rodgers, under LaFleur, the Packers were 10-0 after a loss. Rodgers was 9-0. The Packers had been very successful after a loss, obviously, and Rodgers had not made many mistakes. He always came back and never really had two bad games in a row. He always says that. Normally, he doesn't have two bad games in a row. Well, now, first time for everything, I guess, right? If the Packers can't block for Rodgers, they can't block for Aaron Jones, they can't block for AJ Dillon, they can't block for the punter, they can't block for the kicker, that's going to be an issue. They weren't able to stop the penetration up front from the Jets at all. The first play of the game was a 5-yard loss on a running play to Aaron Jones, right up the middle. He got stuffed by Quinnen Williams instantly. That cannot happen. Packers really need to go back to the drawing board. Rodgers was saying in the press conference that they need to simplify things. Too much motion. There's a lot of jokes about him calling the motion, excessive and saying that it's too much, and now, he's just saying, let's simplify it. It's just too much going on. There's too many little things. People don't understand their assignments when everything's moving and there's so many different, just motions going on and different players doing different things, and he's calling out different signals, and just simplify things, make it easier. He said, on the drives where they actually move the ball, it was some of those 4-minute drills where they're just really doing simplified concepts and just, making it really easy for guys. They were able to move the ball down the field then. But that's not how LaFleur's offense is. Rodgers said he loves the scheme. He loves all the different, intricacies of the play calling and everything, but it has to make sense, it has to flow, and it has to work. If it's not working, he said, let's go back to the drawing board, let's figure it out. He really wants to get this. They asked him, is he even serious? Does he even have the time or the energy to deal with all this now after, being in the league for so long? And he said, yes, he's fully committed, he's ready to go. Defense said they're hungry. Rashan Gary said he's hungry. He probably said he was hungry about 10 times in that interview. Hopefully they are hungry. They didn't look like it. No turnovers forced again for this Packers defense. They lost the turnover battle again. So everything starts up front with, any football team. The offensive line, you need to be able to create holes. Jenkins, holding penalties again, getting beat inside and outside. He hasn't come back into form yet. He's a Pro Bowl player. Obviously, he played mostly at guard, and he didn't play so much at tackle. I'd maybe move Jenkins back to guard and maybe let Yash play out there at right tackle. I don't know. They got to do something inside at guard. Those two guards, John Runyon Jr. got blown up on that first play. Royce Newman got blown up a lot early. Josh Myers was struggling on the inside, but, he's playing pretty well. It's the guards that are really struggling. Royce Newman, John Runyon Jr., they brought in Jake Hansen for Newman, and he struggled too. It's just they couldn't get anything going up front. They couldn't block it up. They couldn't block it down. They couldn't, pass protect. They couldn't run block. It just, nothing was working, and they need to figure it out. If they need to, always keep Mercedes Lewis in on the line and just, keep the blocking scheme, simple. It's a zone scheme a lot of the times. It's just block who's in front of you. Even Bakhtiari on a stunt kept blocking down on the tackle or the end, and the tackle came around and had a free run at Rodgers. So even Bakhtiari is getting confused out there, and that's not something you see a lot from, the second best left tackle in football. Arguably the first, Trent Williams is probably the best one. But we do have rookies that we signed or that we drafted. Zach Tom has not played yet. They say he's a little undersized. He's a tweener, but I liked his tenacity. I liked, just how he played. Maybe he'll get a chance if these other guards can't live up to what their expectations are. Obviously, if he is a little undersized, you don't want that out there to get pushed around. But We do have a guy, 6'4", 320, Sean Ryan, the third-round pick out of UCLA, who's also been inactive for each of the games this year. But he's a guy who's not a tweener. He's not undersized. I want to know kind of what's up with his situation. He's a guy that I hope can get ready to play here soon. He was, rated the #1 run-blocking guard in the FBS last year for UCLA, like I said. So maybe we can figure something out with that. But if we have Bakhtiari at left tackle, maybe throw Jenkins in there at left guard. Josh, maybe sure up that left side at least, and then maybe try Yash out at right tackle and then figure out that right guard spot. Maybe put John Runyon Jr. there. Or leave John Runyon Jr. at left guard and put Jenkins at right guard and then put Yash at right tackle. Just, LaFleur said everything is on the table, and they actually asked him about if Yash would play right tackle. That's why I'm kind of mentioning it. But it's something to look into. It's not, whatever they're doing isn't working. They thought Jenkins would be okay at right tackle. He didn't play a lot out there. He really didn't throughout his career. He was mostly a guard. He's played probably the least amount of snaps at right tackle. So we'll see what they do, but they need to shore up this offensive line. Nothing is going to get going in the run game or the pass game if they don't have it blocked up front. So they really need to work on that. The running game just never got going. I mean, you have Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon. They combined for 60 total yards on the ground on 20 carries. That's 3 yards a carry. That's just not good enough. You need to be at least 3.3 on, to get a first down on every carry. But you want to be at least at like 4.5. Aaron Jones was averaging like 6.8 coming into this game, which, was tops in the league to Breece Hall, I think, who actually, who was right there with him. But Aaron Jones had 3 carries for 0 yards in the first half. That's just ridiculous. You cannot have that. And AJ Dillon, dropping passes in the passing game, missing screens, having it go through his hands, getting tackled, slipping. He was just struggling. And then he fumbled he was trying to get the handoff, and it just hit him right here, and it fell out. He didn't grip it down. I just don't get it. I mean, you're a running back. That's your life is getting the ball like this. Even I know if you're getting it from this side, you want your arms open like this. If you're getting it from this side, you want your arms open like this and come down. It's really easy. I mean, I learned that when I was like in 6th grade football. So, but we knew that when we were kids. So, I mean, you can't have mistakes like that, especially when the team isn't going the way you wanted to and the team's not making the plays that they thought they would. You can't make those silly mistakes. You can't hurt yourself. You can't, shoot yourself in the foot like that because you're already struggling. Rodgers, you could tell the thumb was hurting him. You could tell the thumb hurt. Early on, he was throwing him in the dirt, kept throwing him in the dirt. The one that went to Tonyan that almost got tipped up and Sauce Gardner pick-sixed it, like that was just like, wow, like we all freaked out and thought, okay, that didn't happen. Maybe we'll be all right. Well, basically, that was how the whole game went. The ball just always felt like it was just getting tipped up, and we know nothing good was happening. So, tough to watch, but you could tell the thumb was hurting him. There was other ones that were tough throws, and then the one that slipped out of his hands. They thought he got hit, but it just literally slipped out of his hands. That almost was, a bad situation, too. Luckily, I think Randall Cobb was able to get on that fumble. So, but just tough to watch all around. Rodgers was 26 of 41 for 246 and a touchdown. His season high is 245, so again, he didn't hit that mark. 26 of 41 is not very good either. He completed only one pass of over 20 yards. That was the 35-yard touchdown pass to Allen Lazard. That, you got to be better. Tonyan, though, he looked really good. He's starting to come back into form. 10 catches, 90 yards. He had a long of about 16, but really that third down receiving threat for Aaron Rodgers. He's really coming back. You could tell that, Rodgers trusts him, obviously. And, 10 catches, that's quite a good day for Bobby Tonyan to be back. Just exciting to see that he is, really healthy after that ACL. That was October 29th he hurt that, so hasn't even been a year yet, and he's already back into form. So that's pretty exciting to see. Big issues, though, at wide receiver. Packers, Romeo Doubs hasn't stepped up in the regular season like he was in the preseason. He's still on pace to break Sterling Sharp's single-season rookie record of 55 catches. He had 4 yesterday. He needs 3 a game, and now, he has 4. So now he actually, is really good, or really on pace to break this record here. it'll be interesting to watch to see if he does it. But Randall Cobb looked like he got rolled up on, looked like it was a severe ankle issue or injury. He looked like he was crying. He thought it was going to be serious. He was really freaked out. He thought it was a season ender. Turns out that it's not as bad as he originally thought. He was, kind of happy after the game, Rodgers said, about, or hopeful at least. Not happy about the loss, not happy he got hurt, but hopeful that he wasn't going to be out very long. So that's a good sign, though. But we're already missing Christian Watson, and now Cobb goes down. So a guy that had, 99 yards receiving last week, only one catch this week. That's Randall Cobb, and not having Watson is just another play guy, a big play guy that we don't have out there. We need everybody we can get. Juwan Winfrey, he had one target. He dropped it. Amari Rodgers caught a pass, though, 14-yarder. That's pretty sweet. That's exciting. So, he got out there. You could see him. He was in motion a lot. He was doing a lot of that Cobb stuff, but he was a guy that needed to be out there, and, he made a nice play, ran a nice route, caught the ball, got upfield, got a first down. Really nice play for Amari. He said his role wasn't really the offense. They kind of took away kick returner now. He still is the punt returner. Nothing there on punt returns. Kick returns, though, Keyshawn Nixon, 32-yarder. That was pretty cool. Really cool, actually, to see him actually do something on kick returns. But, yeah, Amari, he caught that pass, and, still tough. But help might be on the way. I think Cobb will be okay. Watson should be coming back soon. Those hamstrings are tough, though, especially with speedsters. He's young, too. We don't want it to be a nagging injury for the rest of the season. Maybe they'll shut him down and just get it right and then bring him back. But he's young. We need him. We need him out there. He needs to be out there, but help might be on the way. Like I said, Sammy Watkins should be coming off of IR this week. It's been 4 weeks now. He is eligible to come back this week. We do go to Washington on Sunday. It's another noon game. And we need Watkins. Obviously, we need some weapons on the outside. So hopefully he'll be good to go. He didn't even get hurt in the game. He had that big catch, I think, against the Bears, and then he was gone, and it's tough. But hopefully he'll be back, and the Packers can bounce back on offense. But the defense let up in the most inopportune times. Packers struggled on offense in the first half. We know that. Aaron Jones, 3 touches, 0 yards. Packers couldn't move the ball. 5-3 and outs, I think they went. Really struggled on the first 5 drives in general. And the Jets, same issues. They were 1 of 11 in the game on third downs. They were 0 for 7 in the first half on third downs. And the Packers still couldn't take advantage of it because too many big plays on first and second downs that, led to more first and seconds that led to more first and seconds, and they never really forced them to a third down. Second half, the Packers were tied 3-3 at halftime. Second half, the Jets come out. The final 3 drives of the game, they scored. Last week, it was 5 straight drives for the Giants that they scored. Packers didn't force any turnovers again. Like I said, they lost that battle. And just really tough. They allowed only 80 total yards in the first half and then allowed 278 in the game. 198 in the second half. They just can't allow that to happen. Packers, they gave up, 17 points? 24 points in the second half this week. It was 17 in the second half last week. 2 weeks in a row where they're just getting blown out in the second half. Obviously, the offense isn't doing the defense any favors, but the defense isn't forcing turnovers. AJ Dillon fumbled the one, like I said, so they lost the turnover battle again. Jair almost picked off Zach Wilson, but for a guy who, has thrown a lot of picks already in his career in Zach Wilson, to not even get him once, they held him to 110 yards passing, so that's good, but Jets didn't even need a pass. If you hold them to 110 yards passing and you win the game, it looks awesome. If you hold them to 110 yards passing and you lose the game, it's like, well, they didn't even need to throw it against you guys. So Packers did make it 17-10 on the Allen Lazard 35-yard touchdown, the longest play of the day for the Packers. But then right away, the Jets went on a 5-play, 66-yard touchdown drive that led to that Breece Hall kind of misdirection where Quay Walker overran it. A lot of missed tackles, and, Breece Hall outran everybody to the end zone. We've been seeing missed tackles by Amos, Savage, Douglas. I mean, pretty much everybody's missing tackles out there. And Devondre Campbell, all-pro middle linebacker last year, missed 4 tackles in 17 games. I think he had like 2 interceptions, a couple sacks. This year, no sacks yet, no interceptions, and he's missed 9 tackles in the first 6 games after 4 of all last season. I don't know what's going on with this defense. I really don't understand what's going on with these players. They just need to start playing better. They need to step up. You paid Douglas 3 years, $21 million to come play corner. He hasn't even had a pick yet this season. After I think he had 5 last season and only like 9 games or whatever he played. Campbell, he came in all pro. He got 5 years, $50 million. He's not playing up to that either. It's just, I don't get it. And nothing on the back end. Amos has no interceptions. Savage, no interceptions. I mean, only 1 interception in 6 games. That's not what I thought going into this season when I called this defense a no-fly zone. When you look at the corners and the safeties they have from top to bottom, they should be elite. And, I mean, they still be going into this game, they're the 5th rated defense. It was like 22nd in the run and like 2nd in the pass. And after another 110-yard performance, holding the Jets to not many passing yards, they're going to be even better in the passing game, but they gave up almost 200 yards rushing, so Breece Hall had a really nice day, and then Michael Carter had a nice big run at the end of the game, and he was efficient. So Packers just really struggled on defense in that second half. They couldn't do anything to stop the Jets, and like I said, after they made it close, they allowed that touchdown drive. Now it's 24-10, and now the pressure's on. Packers went for it on like 4th and 3, and they didn't get it, so it was a shortened field. Secondary played well, though. I mean, they didn't get a pick. Jair was mauling. They were playing more man-to-man, and you could see the aggressiveness was, present. You could see that they were on the guys. You could see that Jair Alexander was manned up on Garrett Wilson. He only allowed 1 catch for like 7 yards to Garrett Wilson. Really a nice day for Jair. Almost picked off Zach Wilson, like I said. But when they needed the stop, when they needed the big play, 40 yards to Corey Davis. He beat Eric Stokes. Talked about it a little bit yesterday. It was underthrown. Corey Davis came back. Eric Stokes overran it. And if Stokes would have been looking for the ball, he had better position earlier in the play, and he could have been the guy to make the play there. So tough break there. It really is. And I just, you got to make those plays there. You allow 110 yards passing, 40 on one play, and that kind of was the breaker at the like a really unopportune time there. We needed a stop. We needed to kind of hold them at bay, and just they kind of broke it open and had the plays when they needed to. They just did. The Jets didn't do anything super crazy, but if you see Robert Saleh's interview after the game, he said we just wanted to punch the Packers in the mouth and just keep giving it to them and keep giving it to them, and hopefully they would end up in deep water and realize they can't swim. So hopefully LaFleur sees that, realizes what he means by that, and gets these Packers players ready to play. It's just they can't go out and lay eggs like that. This is the Green Bay Packers, and they need to start playing like it. Rashan Gary kept saying, we're hungry, but, no one's playing like we're hungry, so we really want to see them go out and perform. We get a Washington Commanders team on Sunday that does look beatable, but then we have at Buffalo, at Detroit, so the Packers really need to get this win on Sunday. We thought the special teams were a little bit cleared up, because we saw Crosby, he was 100% going into this game on kicks and extra points. That was pretty cool. And then, punting, we were punting really well. Pat O'Donnell punting really well. Kickoff coverage was pretty good. Punt return coverage pretty good. Not a lot in the return game for the Packers, but, no big returns yet this season. Well, the Jets game, different story. Not a lot of big returns, but they blocked the field goal. That can happen. First Mason Crosby miss of the season is because of a blocked kick. That's minus 3 points. It would have been for the Packers, +3, obviously. So Jets take that away. And then the Packers have to punt, which is fine. You got to punt it. Pat O'Donnell actually had 2 down inside the 5-yard line. Keyshawn Nixon was really doing well on gunnering. He had a nice tackle at like the 20-yard line. There was some good punts, but on a punt later in the game, it got blocked, returned 20 yards for a touchdown. Jets, that's what put the Jets up. It was 17-3 at that point. That can't happen. You can't have a 10-point swing on special teams. You can't have a 10-point swing when your offense or your defense isn't on the field. You can't be giving up 10 points when your defense isn't on the field. That's crazy. And I know, it's just a minor. They didn't make the field goal, but they don't take 3 points off the board, really. But it's just, you don't get that 3, and then they score 7. So it's like a 10-point swing when your defense isn't out there and your offense can't, do anything either. So it's obviously, if there would have been that pick 6 early, it would have been a really long game. It really already was, but tough. Like I said, the only bright spot on special teams was Keyshawn Nixon. He actually returned that kick from 5 yards in the end zone and got to the 32-yard line. So really a nice kick return. You could see the explosion from him, and just a little bright spot, a little bit. So, oh man, though, Packers couldn't block anything up. They couldn't block anything in the pass game. Rodgers looked off throwing it. Nobody was getting open. Even the Jets guy, the tight end, was wide open on some plays. And it's just like, gosh, how are they always open and we can never even get a guy a little bit open? Sauce Gardner was all over Dobbs, all over Lazard. You got to give it to Sauce. He's really a good player. Zach Wilson didn't make any mistakes, really. He took a few sacks. Rashan Gary did get a sack. Got to give it up to him. He should have had 7 sacks now in 6 games. He had 1 taken away last week. But 6 sacks in 6 games, still on pace for the 15-sack prediction this season. Pretty exciting for him. Obviously, he's going to get a big payday if he keeps this up. He's really the only bright spot on this defense. And then shout out to JJ Enagbare. He got his first sack of the season, 4th-round rookie out of South Carolina. Maybe he's the 5th-round rookie out of South Carolina, but he came out of South Carolina. It's pretty exciting for him to finally get his first sack. Really made a nice play. They said even Zach Wilson had some time, and that means good coverage downfield, so it's kind of a coverage sack, but for him to get his first sack, that's super exciting. Preston Smith, didn't hear from him all game. Didn't hear from Kenny Clark really all game. Didn't hear from Jaron Reed all game, which means that Jets offensive line really blocked up front well. They had these guys, just totally at bay. They were able to do whatever they wanted. Time in the pass game, lanes in the running game, and Breece Hall. What more can you say about him? Another 100-yard day. He looks like a true 3-down pro NFL, running back, like everything, the size, the speed, the catching ability, everything. He's got it all. I loved him at Iowa State, and, I just think he's a really good player. Glad we don't have to face the Jets and him that often, but Packers have a lot of work to do. I don't know what they're going to, figure out. It seems like what do they even do during practice, or what have they done all week? Rodgers said they had a good week of practice. He liked how they looked. They liked what they were doing, but it really seems like they, didn't really fix much. The defense, you could tell, was a little bit more aggressive in the pass game, which was great. I liked that energy, but the offense just, they couldn't block anything up. They couldn't block anything up at all. LaFleur was like, well, let's just try running it once. And then, you get stopped for -2. It's like, well, that's not the attitude to have when you're calling plays. You got to be a little confident when you're calling plays. Like, okay, we're going to run this because we want to run it, and we're going to make it, obvious that we're trying to run the football. And then you run it, throw a play action fake. It's like, I don't understand. He's got no rhyme or reason for a lot of these plays that he's calling, and it just seems like it's just like pulling him out of thin air. To say, yeah, we're just going to try running it here, that doesn't seem like you really are confident that you called the right play. You have to set things up, and then, we're down 17-3. They just blocked the punt. They came out the first play of the drive, and they ran the ball. It's like, okay, now is not time to get 3 yards in a run. Now it's time to spread them out and go score. You don't waste time, running the football for 3 yards. Should have done that before you were down 17-3. Now you're down 17-3, and now you're trying to run it. So, Rodgers last week, he threw 39 times. This week, 41 times. Obviously, they were losing this week, so it's more obvious that they should have been throwing it. But to only throw it 2 more times in the loss this week than in the loss last week. Last week, they were winning the whole time. So, till the final 6 minutes. So LaFleur's got to just get back to the basics, maybe simpler play calls, simpler, designs and everything, and just allow Rodgers to kind of run this offense, use these guys' ability. Rodgers was saying, spread them out, just dink and dunk. That's where they're the best, and that's, I agree. You got to just let these guys kind of get what they can and go from there. Spread them out, and then you run it. You have all this congestion, and you're doing motion, which means that there's guys running right in front of the line of scrimmage, or right in front of the ball. So now they're right in front of where you're going. So there's play designs that they can use to set things up, but I don't know. They have to go back to the drawing board, figure all this stuff out. They need to get some wins. 3-3. The Vikings are 5-1. Obviously, the Lions, they're at the bottom of the division. The Bears lost again, so Packers still in the hunt for the playoffs, but I think they dropped out of the 7th seed. They were technically the 7th seed going into week 6, but now it's a little bit different. It's going to be tough. They have a tough road stretch here. Then they have Dallas. You guys, whoever watched Dallas last night knows they're a pretty good football team. And it's not going to get easier. I hope the Packers can get a win at Washington this week. We'll talk about more of what the Commanders have to offer, and Carson Wentz, Antonio Gibson. They have that Brian Robinson, the rookie. Obviously, DJ Moore, I think, or Curtis Samuel, Terry McLaurin. DJ Moore plays for the Panthers, I think. But so Curtis Samuel's the guy. They get those guys mixed up. But they have a decent squad on offense, and that defensive front is ferocious. They really do have a tough defensive front up, with Jared Allen and everybody that they have on the defensive line, Montez Sweat. They have a front for sure. It's going to be a battle. It's in Washington. They're coming off a big win against the Bears where they probably shouldn't have won that game. I think they won 12-7. So Packers definitely need to come out there and get this win. I don't know what they're going to do this week. I am interested to see what LaFleur has to say later today. I'm interested to see what, Rodgers has to say and to see what they talk about this week. They need to figure it out. Otherwise, this is going to be a long season, and if they don't make the playoffs, I think Aaron Rodgers retires. I really do. If they make the playoffs and they get knocked out, I think he comes back to try to run it back one more time. Obviously, if they don't make the playoffs, I think it's just he's going to walk away. So it's really going to be really a touchy situation. The Packers need to get back on track. Obviously, when you're winning solves everything, fixes everything. Not so much chatter when when teams are winning, but when you're losing, now the finger pointing starts. They said they're going to stick together through this, and hopefully they do and they can figure it out. But tough loss, 27-10 at Lambeau to the New York Jets, a team that if you would have said that 3 years ago, everybody would have laughed. Now they're 4-2, right? So they're not too bad. Probably the surprise team of the AFC. New York Giants as well, surprise team of the NFC along with Seattle. Packers, they might say, are the surprise team of the NFC because of their record. So not as good as everybody kind of thought. Vikings might be running away with this division. They won again, they're 5-1. So tough sledding, and hopefully they can get back on track. But thank you guys for watching the video. Hopefully the Packers can bounce back. It's just tough. It's tough to watch. It's a tough week after. It's tough to watch all the different, analysts and everybody talk about how much they suck. But that's why they just have to, they have to change that narrative, and they have to change, everything around. So, all right, guys, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Check out other videos, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.